Welcome, 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 my bows and bow ties. It's a Black opinionated woman, also known as a bow. Uh, it is May 31st, is Memorial Day. So I just want to take a short moment in remembrance for those who have fallen. Okay, so I, 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 I know many of you who look like me are probably like, why is she like taking a moment of silence for those who have fallen, that type of thing? Um, because I do identify as an American. Okay, so um, I know America has its flaws. There's a lot going on here. We're going to talk about it. Um, but I don't belong to any other country. This is the country I was born in, so I identify with being American. Whether people want to believe that I'm American or not, I am an American. I served in the military for 5+ years as an Air Force officer. So I identify as an American. So today's topic, or this is the title, Obsessed with, it should say, Our Perceived Freedom. Now, I went back and forth because at first I wanted to call this addicted to our perceived freedoms. But I don't know, for whatever reasons, it didn't resonate with me. Let me take that off. So I decided to change it to, us being obsessed with our perceived freedoms. So before I get into my little chit and chat, let me just say this. I call out the fact that I'm a veteran. If you want to know what I'm doing, I'm sitting out in my gazebo because it's peaceful out here. I got the fan on going up above. Let me see. Can you see that? Okay. So I'm feeling some kind of way, overlooking the pool, etc. Got on a nice little flowy dress. All is good. Hair is not done, but I put on a little lip gloss because I was like, okay, I don't need to be that trifling, right? I will make sure that my hair is done tomorrow. But yeah, I had a really great weekend. But it hasn't been lost on me that, we are today's a day for remembrance for those who lost their lives. So let me just say this. I wanted to call out the fact that, I'm an American, right? Because I recognize that as an American, that I'm saying as part of the collective. There's this obsession with letting everyone know like how American you are, and we're so free. You know, I hear so many people talk about it. And I love those who like to talk about how free they are, especially when they have not served in any capacity. And when I say serve, it doesn't necessarily mean in the armed forces. It could be in any kind of capacity. It could be your community, it could be in your family, etc. But yeah, we like to talk about our freedoms. But I like to be honest and talk about how jacked up things are right now. Now, for those of you who aren't living under a rock, if you've been paying attention the last couple of weeks, we've had mass, pow pows happening. We've got things being discussed in our courts. Okay, there's so much happening here. We've got a housing crisis. We've got a lot going on. But we like to tout to people who are not from here, who are not living here, about how free we are. This country is riddled with a lot of problems, like every other country. So, although I identify as an American, and as of right now, this I don't consider any other place my home other than here, right? Because I'm not accepted anywhere else. I probably could live in Europe. I mean, I've done it before, but I can't go to an African nation and claim it as my own because they look down on Black Americans. That's not all of them. I'm not going to start giving qualifiers, although I do want to visit the continent at some point, maybe next year. But I think for those who are living here, they're in denial about these problems. And I think much of what's happening is there's this push from postmodernism. Now I want you to just hang in there with me. When you deal with this whole postmodernist type of movement, it's not about the community, it's not about people, it's about individuality. Okay, that's why we see this surge in uh trans people, the alphabet community, right? Like everyone wants to identify a certain kind of way. Don't call me a girl, don't call me a boy, don't call me this, don't call me that. Everyone wants to identify as something. Don't call me I'm having a brain dump. I had something earlier and then it just left me. We've got a lot going on. We're dealing a lot with identity, right? Because here we talk about our perceived freedoms. We talk about we're just free. We're free to say and do what we want. That's why people are emboldened to take to the media and say things that are reckless and full of vitriol. We've got people writing manifestos because we're free, right? We've got people purchasing the pow pows in mass quantities because we're free, kind of misrepresenting what the Second Amendment was really put in the Constitution for. But see, most of us Americans love this notion of freedom. So as I say, like half the time I can't upload a thumbnail. I still can't figure out why it's not letting me do it upon setting up this live stream. But this was what you were supposed to select. I will upload it afterwards. Life in America is living in freedom every day. I put false up there. We've got people who there are people who vote against their best interests. They think that they're part of the group. They're not. And I'm just kind of like, even, and I'm going to even call out the white people. I'm like, a lot of the white people think they're part of some sort of elite. And I'm like, you are not even part of the conversation. You are nothing more than a pawn. Now I want you to hold that there. So this weekend, I took some time and I was on TikTok. I enjoyed myself watching TikTok. There was a lot of funny things going on, especially when I see stuff with the dogs and the cats, because pets are hilarious. But then you'll run across some things that are serious. And several times I ran across something that made me think. I've seen European, North American, all kinds of people calling out the United States. And this is the thing, when you're here, oftentimes you don't want to hear criticism, right? But what they said was the United States has become a nation of cults. Now, that actually resonated with me because, over the last several months, I've been talking about people like they engage in cult like behavior. For those of you who don't know, there was he who shall not be named passed away in the Black manosphere, and there is this cult following. There are people who don't engage in critical thinking, and so they follow people blindly. The flying monkey syndrome, okay? And so what happens is we're breeding a group of people who are like lemmings. And it doesn't matter if it's in the Black manosphere or anyone who had like a cult like following for any of the presidential candidates, past and present, um, or people who follow celebrity like the Kardashians and Kanye and stuff like that. Okay, but they talk about this nation of cults, and I was like, here I am talking about on such a small scale, but I didn't even think about on a large scale the nation of cults. And I think much of that is based off of our perceived freedoms, our obsessions with freedoms, our obsession with this individuality. We've gotten so far away from community. It's now based off of I, me. So anyway, so TikTok had me thinking about how we are a nation of cults. And I couldn't disagree. I think about how we handled the pandemic cootie. You guys are knowing what I'm talking about, so I'm trying not to say too many things because things can get flagged. The pandemic cootie had people making up all kinds of side effects, spreading disinformation. We've had people who, I was would say in the Black community thought that they were basically immune to it. They thought so many things. They spread so many crazy lies. You have so many people. They were divided over wearing, the facial covering. Okay, I mean, it was politicized. It was politicized on getting a vaccine. I shouldn't have said that. I should have said the medicine that you put in a needle. Uh, that was politicized. Everyone was mad about something. And so what happened was we became very individualistic. So you had the extreme sides of everything. There are people who are like, you better take this. I mean, there's autonomy of the body, right? But then we also had people who are like, you can't make me take this. You can't. This is my body. Like we had this obsession with our personal freedoms. Years ago, we would want to be medicated, I'm going to say, as a whole. Now, I personally have taken the special medication, right? I don't knock people whether they want to take it or don't want to take it. I'm like, do what you want. I just thought it was strange that people highly politicized it and it was demonized. But we had our freedom. So there were people who were like, I won't do it because you can't make me. Like, we don't know what's in it. I'm like, half of these people are gobbling medication from the pharmacist like they're Tic Tacs. You don't know what's in that. Did you do your research on that? We know how that particular industry works, as shady as it is. I just thought it was so interesting. There's so many ways of debunking and proving things, but I'm not here to talk about that because I say do what you want as long as you're not spreading misinformation. But it's interesting about our obsession with our personal freedoms. I think about it all the way down to the pow pows. Let me take this off so you can see me better. The pow pows. Okay? You know what I'm talking about, right? It's at the point now where, well, it's always been, but it's getting worse. That is politicized. We could care less about people who are being popped off, whether it's at a grocery store or in an educational institution. We don't care about who it is either because we have this right, right? But I'm like, well, let's talk about that right. Why was the Second Amendment put there? And a lot of people think it was like the right for personal protection. In my understanding, now I am not someone who's well versed in the law. My background is in engineering. But my understanding of what the Second Amendment was for, it was for the protection of the people against crazy governments, like a tyrannical government. Or if someone were to invade the country, well, then we were armed, right? So, in one essence, yeah, I guess the side effect is yes, it gives you personal protection, right? But the purpose for the people having that right was really more so to protect them against the governing body. We have co opted it to mean these other things, and we don't even care. But look, we're obsessed with our personal freedoms, right? So let's get back into it. Now, I've already ran down a couple of things before. We are obsessed with our personal freedoms. So what happens now is this obsession becomes like an addiction, and what happens is you can't see the forest for the trees. You got black people staying on 10 about everything, and they have the right to be mad, but I just can't live in that space. You got white people staying mad. Asians, don't even get me started with the Asians. Like I think they want recognition, but they want to maintain the model minority thing. So it's kind of like they want to be recognized for certain things. It's like, hey, we have Asian hate, but they don't want to get out there and participate in the process, right? That's from my perspective. Um, yeah. So getting back to these freedoms, I just find it interesting. We're so concerned about our personal freedoms. We're obsessed with these freedoms that we're not thinking about the collective. we've become so selfish and so disconnected. We're so disconnected. I think we've become overly, we've swung to one side, on both sides of the aisle. It's just so extreme. We've got people who don't really understand the real intent of what the Second Amendment was for. So now we're blinded by our love of weapons. So does that mean someone can go get weapons of mass destruction? Like, no, it's my Second Amendment, right? Where does the line drawn? I don't know. I don't even know if that should be even overturned at this point, right? Because when you start messing with the Constitution, it becomes very dangerous. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for it. We've got people out here who are in denial and they don't want critical race theory taught. They literally want their children to remain ignorant to the atrocities and all these other things that have happened. But see, I think what people don't understand is with critical race theory, there's also good things. It's not going to be all death and destruction and whatever. So they don't want to teach that, but they'll teach other parts of history. I find it interesting that they don't even want to teach what really happened with Christopher Columbus coming here. He was a rapist. He harmed people. I shouldn't have said that word. I'm probably going to flag this. He did a lot of horrific things. But we don't want people to know about, look at my hair. I definitely need to do it. This is like 3 day old hair now. Yeah, so like people don't want to speak to the fact that Christopher Columbus was, well, I don't know if that's going to be part of critical race theory. We literally have people who don't want their children to learn about any of that. They're trying to wash it out. But when you go to other countries, they teach, the situation. Now, granted, there's always going to be a favorable slant, but I find it interesting here that we're so concerned about our individual freedoms. I don't want this done. We've got, we talk about having individual freedoms, and yet we're not given individual freedom. There's the Roe v. Wade situation going on. So, like I said earlier, I said we are really messed up. We're messed up. This country has a lot of problems. We're obsessed with our perceived freedoms. But what's interesting is we've taken these perceived freedoms and now we seem to be kind of, I feel like we're kind of like trapped. We're kind of like trapped because we can't see the forest for the hills. We can't exercise common sense in the interpretation of the law. We can't. We've got the alphabet group, because I can never get all the letters right because every time I turn around it changes. But the LGBTQT group now has such a huge voice, and I believe that they should have a voice, but not to the point where you're starting to introduce talking about people who want to change genders to kindergartners. That's something that they were considering changing here in Maryland, and they're going through different counties. From kindergarten to fourth grade, you can't opt out. You have to be now. Luckily, I don't have children in that are young, so it'll bypass my children. But we've got people so concerned about their individual freedoms that they don't care about anyone else, how that could affect anyone else. We're spending so much money on we're sending money overseas to the Ukraine, and we can't even get people into any sort of housing here. We have a housing crisis. There are people who love this country so much that they can't even purchase land or a home and raise their children. But because they're so loved with this perceived freedom, right? We have capitalism, right? They will go along with the status quo and demonize socialism. I think there is a medium in between. There are people who are literally unable to purchase land and homes, but because they have the Jedi mind trick put on them about these perceived freedoms, they will say, yes, capitalism is the only way, but they can't even afford to buy a home. They can't purchase a home. We have large corporations running this country. So now it's like, I, I don't even know where to go with that anymore. Like, I'm so tired of talking about it. But like I said, there are people who are in love with this perceived freedom and this perceived capitalism and perceived democracy in this country, that they can't see the forest for the hills. They cannot interpret with common sense. Like they say, common sense is not common. You have people who think that the Second Amendment was for personal protection, when actually the Second Amendment was a protection against tyrannical governments. I would say that our perceived freedoms are not noble. I think that they our perceived freedoms have led to more division, more individuality, right? We don't have, I'm not saying we want to be a full on socialist country or a communist country. I'm not interested in that either. I think there is a balance. Our perceived freedoms are what keep us divided, actually. We don't care about anybody else. We care about me, my voice, my pow pows, my body. I don't care if I cough the cooties on anybody else. Oops, sorry. I have a couple more notes here. I don't know. I just feel like we're preaching about these perceived freedoms when actually we're brainwashed by the ideology. So I think it's easy to get. It's like when you'll fall for anything, right? Like you got people. It's like you're giving them their opinion. You're continuing to give them the talking points. You can want uh your personal freedom, stuff like that, and still want to do what's best for the common good. We have people who are emboldened to purchase weapons and with no regard just take out lives. We don't care about anything, which is interesting because, as I've seen before, and I think I've mentioned it, whenever something bad happens to Black children in the Black community or something, if they've done something, they'll blame the Black woman. They'll say it's the Black woman's fault. But yet we have all of these men out here writing these manifestos and, popping people off. But they're not blaming white women for raising these terrible human beings. That's food for thought. Um, I would say much of what's happening right now, because we're so concerned about our perceived freedoms, is just continuing to divide us more. We've got people who are oversubscribing to white supremacy. I don't even know. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like white supremacy it's always been around, but I think it's picking up some added steam. We've got minorities who are subscribing to it and they don't even realize it, especially Black men. They're so angry, especially those who are in the manosphere, and they don't even realize that they are subscribing to the ideals that affirm white supremacy. We got a lot of minorities, Asian, Black, Latino, Latina. They are definitely feeling as if, like, as long as I have proximity to whiteness, they don't even get it. They don't get it. And they think that they have currency. And I've been in many places where I've listened to people who thought that they were doing something and they didn't realize there are people who still think what they think about you. You'll walk away and comments will be made. I've heard with my very ears. I won't name any names, but you know who you are. We've got, like I said, white supremacy is just really is digging in the heel. They're digging in the heels, and then a lot of it's with the minorities reaffirming it. We've got all the isms like classism, racism, sexism. We got all that going on. Um, I think we are taking this notion of having these personal freedoms and we're pushing them so hard to our own detriment. I can't wait until I fix my hair. We have all these personal freedoms, right? The right to a capitalist society and everything else like that, right? We've got the same groups of people who have been elected that have made a career out of politics. And look where we stand. We have a crazy debt situation. We have people who can't afford health care. We got an education or school loan crisis. We've got people who are committing crimes and getting off. Do you remember George Zimmerman? He killed Trayvon Martin. Kyle Rittenhouse up in, I believe it was Wisconsin. We've got the Buffalo Pow Pow guy, Peyton Gendron. And then we had the Uvalde, Texas person, Salvador Ronaldo Ramos. That's just off the top, right? So on top of that, we got people writing manifestos. Um, we have people who can't even earn an income, and it's making people angrier because the people who are brainwashed by these individual freedoms don't even realize much of it doesn't even benefit them. So while they are scraping by and being angry because the cost of food has gone high and they can't purchase land or a home, the people that benefit the most from people who are brainwashed by these personal freedoms. Hey, I'm doing my live. Yeah, they don't even realize that they are, being brainwashed by all of this. The rich are going to continue to get richer. They don't care about us. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. You know, we're we are obsessed with these perceived freedoms, and I just feel like I can live in a place and still say, "Hey, look, we've got work to do." Call a thing a thing. But there are people who live here who are in such denial. There's such denial, and it's so sad. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what your thoughts. I know I haven't been on as much because I've been trying to mother. I've been adulting. I don't even know if I'm going to come on tomorrow. I may or may not, but it's been busy. The month of June is going to be busy on the weekends. But anyway, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so. Okay, because I'm amazing. I'm actually entertaining, at least in my own mind. I'm going to be honest. If you're looking for me to stroke your ego or to make you feel good, I'm not here for that. I'm going to be honest. I'm a Black opinionated woman for a reason, and that's it. I don't typically do a whole lot of current events or like celebrity things. It has to resonate for me in order for me to comment on it because I don't really care that much. I can't care that much about celebrity who aren't, they don't care about me. They're not taking care of me. And all these people are running around putting all this money in their pockets. I'm like, put it in your own pocket. But anyway, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that the YouTube algorithm knows that I'm amazing in every way and I can do no wrong. Hit the like button so that the algorithm knows I'm amazing in every way and can do no wrong. You can also get the algorithm working by sharing it, seeing my videos. Just go ahead and just binge watch all my videos. Or say something in the comments, leave a comment. Okay. I call it the 5 S's. You can subscribe, you can show your support by liking, you can say something by leaving a comment, you can share it with other people, or you can see my videos, watch them all the way through. All right. So look, my family is sitting up there on a deck, and my husband's going to throw some chicken on the grill. We were going to have like a thing today, and we decided we're good. We grilled out yesterday too. I think everybody's tired. I think we've grilled the last 2 or 3 days, so we're going to put some chicken out there. I'm going to get myself some adult libation, and yeah. Maybe I might do another live later. All right, that's it for me. So go ahead. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and actually let me know what your thoughts are. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Black opinionated woman out.